Okay, we are live. I'm attorney Vince Davis, and this is The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win. I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Darren Guy, all the way from the great state of Maine. Mr. Guy, how are you?
We're good, Mr. D. We're doing really good up here.
Good. And I see we have a guest, Kristen Clark Hassel.
Yes, sir.
Did I pronounce that right?
Where they go? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Where are you coming from, Kristen?
I'm coming from southern Georgia.
Southern Georgia, okay.
Florida, Georgia line.
Okay. I didn't know you could be in southern Georgia. I thought Georgia was
like being in northern Maine, right?
There's a North Georgia and a South Georgia.
Okay. Now, the first thing that I want to mention is we have something new tonight. We have a call-in number for you people out there in the audience. You can call in. It will ring to my phone. I'll put you on speaker. And then we can talk, and then everybody on the show can hear you as well.
That's awesome, Mr. D.
Awesome.
We've posted that number. One of the problems is that, if we're talking to people like Kristen, we can't answer the phone. So, we'll work that out. But what's going on with Kristen in South Georgia?
Okay, well, long story, try to make it short. Back in 2018, during a divorce hearing with my estranged, abusive husband at the time, the guardian ad litem that was involved with that divorce hearing ended up opening a case on me after they called about my ex-husband, and a few other people called about 40 times. The CPS people came out, saw that there was nothing there. It was unfounded. So they tried to close the case that CPS had opened. Well, the guardian ad litem on the divorce hearing found out about it and told them basically to keep the case open and that they weren't allowed to close it and so on and so forth. So after that happened, she convinced the judge to award temporary custody of our two children to him. And catching you up a little bit, he had already abandoned us for about 2 years. So I had to file an actual abandonment warrant against him in the state of Virginia and moved down to Georgia. So when that took place, he beat me to court for the divorce. And that's how I believe all of this crap went haywire, is because he actually filed first before myself. Well, when she had awarded him temporary custody with the judge, signing the paper on it, about 3 days later, she went to the court and issued an emergency hearing on my other six children at the time, and basically got all my children taken while they were at school. And so I went to go pick them up, and they weren't there. And this was Halloween Day in 2018. And I have not seen or been able to talk to my two children that my ex-husband ended up with, even though we have joint legal custody. Now, there was a parenting plan that had been put into effect without my signature, without my lawyer's signature, because it was bogus, that I had to do 3 different phases. One of them was to release my complete mental health record to them. And then after they reviewed my mental health record, they would approve of whether I was mentally capable or not to see my children or speak to my children. And then after that, there was another phase and another phase. Long story short, with that part, I have not been able to get in contact with this guardian ad litem since that day. However, she's friends with my ex-husband on Facebook, talks to him regularly, and so on and so forth. So therefore, I cannot complete my parenting plan to be able to, quote unquote, have anything to do with my children. However, we are joint legal custody with the 2 children. He has since then moved, never told me, and got married, never told me. So my question, I'm not sure if that's parental kidnapping or not, but I thought when you had joint legal custody, you had to tell the other parent within 30 days. So that's those 2. The rest of the children were taken by DFACS under the state care that Halloween, so about 3 days later. Since then, I've had 3 children terminated, my parental rights terminated. I was given 1 child back, and I ended up having a baby that was born about 3 years after they took the other children, and then they went and took that one, my baby at 6 weeks old also, and basically said I was a druggie from one test that they did that was an illegal test with no chain of custody when they came out to my house. And that's how all that pretty much intertwines. They combined those 2 DFACS cases together when they weren't supposed to, and then terminated my rights to my baby and to my 2 other children, and basically said, the judge said that I was a druggie. And I said, well, if I was a druggie, why didn't you give me an opportunity to go to drug court or drug rehab or anything like that? And he said it took too long for me to finish my case plan. I said, well, then if it took too long to finish my case plan, why did you give me my son back, my other child? So those are some of the issues with mine. It's a little complicated because there's so many children, but those are some of the basics.
Well, what questions did you have for me?
So my one question was, if I had the same judge on my divorce case, ended up being the same judge on my first CPS case, then my second CPS case, should he have recused himself, being kind of biased or conflict of interest? And at the same time, the guardian ad litem that was on my divorce case conveniently, voluntarily said that she would be the guardian ad litem on my DFACS case.
Okay,
That's
so
down here.
was that a 2-part question?
Yes, I'm sorry about that. Yes, sir.
How about just giving me one part and I'll try to handle that one first?
Okay, first part would be the judge.
No.
No, okay. And why is that?
I don't see that that's prohibited by law. At least it wouldn't be in California.
Okay.
Why do you think? Now, see, this is one of those situations, Mr. Guai, that I always talk about. We have our own sense of justice.
Mm-hmm.
We have no idea what the law says in our state, but because we feel something, we pursue, lost hopes.
Right. That took the same situation for me to understand, and then for you to explain it to me. I had the same thing.
So, Kristen,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you have an attorney or not. If you don't, you should get one and listen to him or her. Because, I have a video, and you should watch this video. It's on YouTube, my YouTube channel. It's called What is Justice? And there's a couple shorts and videos called What is Justice, unfortunately, on my channel.
Mm-hmm.
But you want the one where I'm standing in front of a whiteboard explaining to someone something. That video was actually taken by a client and her mother while I actually explained this to them.
Oh, cool.
And she sent me the video, and she suggested, you should put this on YouTube because a lot of people don't understand this.
Mm-hmm.
And basically what it says is 95% of what you believe justice is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Understandable, right?
But then you're making decisions and thoughts and plans and strategies, and you're 95% wrong. It's never going to work. And then, you talk to someone like me and you can't figure out why it's not working. You don't even know the rules.
True.
Okay. So quit. All you're doing is running in a circle. You ever see those hamsters and they have that little round thing they're on and they run on that round thing?
Yes.
You ever see that?
Yes.
How far does that hamster go?
Not far. That's what my brain feels like.
Not far. Nowhere. The answer is not far. It goes nowhere. And it runs 100 miles an hour, not going anywhere. That's what you're doing.
Yes.
And you feel that the more you work, the more you think about it, the more you strategize, you should get something. It's like one of those things, I'm going to will it to be done. It's never going to work. You don't know the rules.
No.
That's why you got to find a lawyer in your area, talk to him or her, try to retain them so that they can help you get what you want.
Right.
I want to tell you something. Many years ago, this is decades ago, 2-3 decades ago, a guy comes into my office on a Saturday morning and without an appointment. And he says that he went to court yesterday and he lost custody of his child, and that he now only gets one Saturday from like 10 to 5 visitation. Okay? That's how much visitation he has in custody. And he comes to me and he says, look, he says, I need you to turn this around. I realized something when I left court yesterday that I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and that's why I lost. Which was amazing that he realized that. Most people leave the court and say, oh, the court's corrupt. That's why I lost. No. Most of the time you lose because you don't know the rules. So he came to me and he said, hey, I'm going to pay you. I want you to turn this around. He says, do you think you can? I said, yeah, but it's going to take time. Months. He says, how long? I said, at least a year. He says, okay, let's do it. Within 6 months, I kid you not, within 6 months, he had custody of the child and the mother had every other weekend visit.
Well,
Now, a lot of planning, a lot of strategy.
Right. Yes, definitely strategy.
But he came to me and I gave him a strategy based on what the law is. And when we would go to court, I was there to present the evidence and to try to keep out the mother's evidence. The mother was self-represented. Okay, so he had an epiphany, and his epiphany was, no matter what I do, I'm not going to win because I don't even know the rules.
Fair enough.
Most people don't realize that. Kristen, I don't know if you've listened to me before, but what you're telling me is you don't know the rules and you're trying to figure this out and it's not working. Okay, I get it. What's the next step, Mr. Guy?
get a lawyer. Get yourself a lawyer.
Yeah.
Had a lawyer.
Call Mr. Davis for a consult, something like that.
But
hey, we could do that.
Kirsten, here's the thing. You had a lawyer, you probably didn't like the person, you didn't get along with the person, and things didn't work out. Okay, I get it. Get another lawyer. And this time, make it your business to make sure you develop a working relationship with the lawyer, even if you don't like her or him. Because they can work wonders for you. Okay? You just got to give them the chance and form that relationship. A lot of people think, I had a conversation today with a client. And I'm trying to tell the client what the law is and what the client should do. And the client's telling me the exact opposite. And this person happens to be a very educated person. But doesn't believe that the law should be what it is. And because the client believes it shouldn't be that, then God's will be done. And that's not true.
No.
It's like maybe we could show her like this, Mr. D. So when you say the court's bias against you, right? You say like there's bias. So in the definition, right? But that rule isn't, the bias is not how the court, you're seen to the court, right, Mr. D?
That's
the
right.
bias is how the court is seen, right? Isn't that how it goes? The way that the court is seen by others to make sure that the court is the way it is. It's not about you and the bias is about you. It's about how the court is perceived, right?
Right. So Kristen, you probably think bias to you means 1 plus 2 plus 3.
This was
But
my viewpoint too.
but in actuality, bias as defined in the court system is 10 plus 11 plus 12.
And the answer is 35. Makes no sense.
And you're way off. You're not even in the you're not even in the same ballpark. Because you're operating
Well,
on
now
what
you got to explain all that.
you're operating on what you believe bias is, and that's not what it is in court.
So if you have evidence of abuse and the judge has then seen this evidence of abuse and still allows 2 children to go there, even though it is child abuse that this judge has seen, versus a person who has no history of abuse, what is that called?
Okay. It's kind of a loaded question that you ask.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing. You say you have evidence of something. Is the evidence admissible?
Yes, it's admissible. It was admitted.
Okay, what was the evidence that was admitted?
The evidence was statements from children that were an adult. Well, one's an adult that made the statement. Pictures, witnesses, medical documentation, stuff like that.
Okay, in my mind.
Oh, police record and a police officer.
In my mind, that's none of what you mentioned is admissible. None of what you mentioned. Now, I don't know the laws of evidence in your state. Well, there's something called hearsay. Hearsay is not admissible. So statements by a child out of court are not admissible unless it falls into one of the many exceptions to hearsay.
So if it's a direct witness.
Okay, if it was a witness, a live body, if it was a witness, a live body in court, that person can say what that person observed, felt, or saw. Now, if you have,
or if that person was the person being abused,
if that person is the person being abused, the judge can, you can ask that person, did so and so abuse you? Yes. How? When? Now, here's the other hurdle you have to get over. Just because a witness comes in and says that doesn't mean the judge has to believe it. One of the imperfections of our system, the judge gets to decide who to believe, who not to believe, who to discount, who not to discount. So just because you had somebody come in and say he abused me, that doesn't mean that the judge is going to believe it.
Right, that person, and that's where the medical.
But the thing is you'll never know that because it could be something as simple as the judge heard you say that the dress was red, but the judge knows in fact that it was not red, it was blue, and she discredits anything you say from that point forward because you lied about something so simple and she knew the facts. So from there on out, the judge will put in her statement, and from that point forward, I didn't find her as a not a valid
credible
witness, but and that's it. You've blown your shot. You didn't even realize that you did that. And
so here's something that Carrie says: you have to lay a proper foundation. Do you know what that means, Kirsten?
A proper foundation,
right?
For court or no? Explain that, please.
No. Well, here's the thing, because I'm not here to give an evidence lesson tonight for hours. But if you don't know what that means you didn't lay a proper foundation for your evidence. That alone will keep your evidence out. And just because it's admitted doesn't mean the judge will believe it.
Right.
So there's just certain strategies to get a judge to believe something. And usually it's corroborating evidence, something of that nature, right?
Uh-huh.
We lost Mr. Guy there for a second with his $1 million studio.
Yeah, it's always when I got something important to say.
So, Kristen, here's the thing.
Corroborating evidence.
Corroborating evidence. Here's the thing, Kristen. Several months ago, I took my car to the shop, and the guy tells me, "Hey, Mr. Davis, you need a new transmission." You know what I didn't do? I didn't run to Pet Boys and buy the tools and supplies and everything to try to do it myself. You know why? Because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Right? If I tried to change my own transmission, a year later, it'd still be on the floor of my garage. Okay. And look, I'm a pretty smart guy. I'm no genius, but I'm pretty smart. Right? I can't change a transmission. I wasn't trained. I don't have the education. I don't have the experience. Now,
Right.
do you have legal training, knowledge, or experience? Right. But
I have a little bit of experience in the courtroom, but none of the above.
Right. So you're trying to use Google to figure out how to win your case. As much as we say it, Google does not know everything, and neither does ChatGPT. Okay. You may think that it does, but it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would suggest to you is you get a lawyer or go talk to a lawyer, tell him or her what you want, and let him or her try to figure out a strategy to implement to get you what you want. It's as simple as that. Right? Here's another example I use all the time. If you go to the doctor and he says, "Hey, Kristen, you need open heart surgery," are you gonna Google that and try to do it yourself?
Heck no.
Why? Because you'd end up dead, and you know it. But you and everybody else seems to think that they can represent themselves in court. Right? So that's what you have to do.
Sorry about that.
Somebody's got a TV on. Is that you, Mr. Boy?
No, I don't have anything. Oh, I might be my wife and me.
Right now we've lost her completely, I think. Are you there, Kristen? Okay.
Oh, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So, do you have any other questions for me this evening?
How? I'm trying to think. What is the ICPC? Is that something that a person has to have in place before a child can be sent to another state?
Generally speaking, yes.
Okay.
But it doesn't apply to certain people.
How would someone get proof of that?
What is an ICPC?
ICPC is the Interstate Compact for the Placement of Children. Okay. It's an agreement between states to have children placed in one state, from one state in another. But it doesn't apply to some people. For example, Article 8, I think, tells you the exceptions. ICPC doesn't apply to parents. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're in a custody battle with the father, how is ICPC even involved?
Well, ICPC is involved because of defects with my children being sent to someone who is not related to them and has never met them.
Well, then DFACS would have to get an approved ICPC before they can send the children to that other state, to the non-related person. But now you're talking about the CPS
and how
state.
How would, obviously that's a lawyer that might be able to get that. But if it was requested to be shown in court and was never shown in court, Is there a reasoning for that, or
I don't know.
how would I? Basically, what I'm asking is, how would I be able to find out if that was actually even done?
Ask your lawyer.
And then they should be able to get a copy of it.
Oh, they have a copy of it, I'm sure.
Okay.
You could probably get a copy of it in your government issued ID and going down to the courthouse clerk's office and asking for a copy of it.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Woo! 2 points.
I guess it would have. I guess it would.
That was
so
free.
that's something that would have to be filed with the court.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Mr. D. What a man.
Roger that.
That was an easy one.
This is why he's the man right here. Look at that. Do you know how many people you just affected, Mr. D, by that? You know how many people right now are going, oh my gosh, I just need to get my ID and go to the courthouse and get it.
Right.
At least 50.
Some things that I take for granted like that are just amazing facts for other people. Right. And sometimes I forget that. For me, it's like, well, I'm brushing my teeth.
Right.
And then for other people, it's like, well, I've never seen a toothbrush.
Yeah, for me, it's like doing a sit-up.
Right. How many sit-ups do you do per day?
Well, just think about what we just
getting
said.
out of bed.
Yeah, right. This is it right there.
Kristen, next question.
Okay, let me think of one. Let me think of one I have related to defects. Let's see. Is there if you have a will that talks about if you became incapacitated to care for your child in any way, shape, or form, and had certain people listed in that will, would that apply in a CPS/defects incident?
Well, actually, yes.
And it was filed with a court prior.
In California, that's an interesting question because it comes up every once in a while. And in California, the real answer, in my opinion, is if there's a will, that's an issue for the probate department, not for defects, not for CPS. So they shouldn't even be involved. But I know sometimes they like to get, but sometimes they like to get involved.
Okay. And are children supposed to go to people that they already have? Okay, if it's not blood family, obviously blood family first is, but I don't know if that's the law or not. Blood family or people that they already have an established relationship with prior to a stranger.
Yes. That's the law.
Okay. That's the law.
But
that has not happened.
Yeah, that doesn't mean the defects is going to do it, though.
Right. And if those said people were willing and made it known that they were willing and capable and able to take the children and were told no, and they were placed instead with strangers.
Right. That happens all the time. That's about, I would say, almost 50% of the calls I get are that exact situation. I mean, before the show tonight, I think I did 3 calls, and all of them were relatives trying to get a child in foster care.
Right.
Now, why social workers do this, I don't know. There was a lot of speculation about it, but they do it.
Yeah. That's what happened with obviously with my situation, but I think it's but then there's my own justice that is unfair for the child, when they've already been hurt being taken from a family, but then now they're in a total different, like, who in the world is these people, type of situation.
Right.
Hey, Mr.
Right.
D, how do power of attorneys work? If you get power of attorney for your children, say hypothetically you think that something's coming down the pike and you give a power of attorney to your mother, for say, and then CPS comes and knocks on the door. What comes next after those steps? Like, does CPS have to deal with you? Does that power of attorney hold any legal bearing, or is it where it's not a guardianship thing?
No. In California, generally, no.
Okay. And that's one of the questions. I hear that a lot from people about that whole, what if I give my parents power of attorney or whatever? So now we can finalize that one.
You know where that strategy came from, Darren?
No, sir.
That was from that $49 course you bought on the internet.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I'm not
even the one that I make my own courtroom.
I'm not even joking, Darren.
Really? That's where that comes from? That's one of their tricks to say, like, make a power of attorney and so on.
Do you remember any stories growing up, or you looking through history, about the snake oil salesman?
Oh, of course. And the guy with the horn in the ear.
Right. So
the what?
Whenever people are desperate and they see something that might work on the internet, they're going to buy it. They're going to buy it. Anyway, Christian, anything else?
Man, I have a lot. Trying to think of any. Oh, okay. I have one. If you are given one child back and not the rest, how is that legal? Because then if everything was good enough for one child to be returned, why would that not be applied to all the rest of the children? Like, if you finish your case plan.
Right. I don't know. I can't tell you that, because to me that makes no sense.
Right.
And that probably is going to be a function of your legal representation. Did you have Johnny Cochran, or did you have the guy that just graduated from law school?
I had Johnny Cochran when it came to my baby, my infant, and she told me straight up, to quote her, "I've done everything. We've done everything. You've done everything. I don't know what else to do. I've never seen this before."
I can tell you one thing you didn't do, and I don't even know your case. You want to hear it?
What's that?
You didn't file an appeal?
I did.
Did you file?
I did file an appeal, actually.
Did you file the appeal to the Georgia Supreme Court or the Intermediary Court of Appeals?
It was the Court of Appeals. It was a discretionary appeal, I think, is what you have to do in Georgia.
Why didn't you appeal to the Georgia Supreme Court? Why didn't you appeal to the United States Supreme Court?
Okay.
You get it?
Got it.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you. That's one of those toothbrush moments, I guess.
A client told me, they asked, we lost a motion, and the client said, well, what else can I do? I said, well, you can file an appeal. Mm-hmm. And I think you should, because in my opinion, I disagree with the judge's decision. The client told me unequivocally, no, I'm not going to do that. I think you're giving me bad advice. Okay.
I wish I would have known about those things when we were going through our stuff. Yeah, if I would have known that you could tell your lawyer to appeal these things, man, I wish there was a rewind button. I really do.
I had a case in Las Vegas, Nevada, that I did almost a month ago. And I just talked to my local counsel in Nevada, and she told me that you only have 30 days to appeal. In California, you would have 60 days. So depending on what state you're in, you better find out how long you have to appeal, because if you miss that date, in most states, it's what's called jurisdictional, and it's lost forever.
Okay. Now, if you have I have one more question actually. So if someone has requested for transcripts from the court, was it stenographer, I guess? I think that's what they're called.
Court reporter in California.
Court reporter, and that person keeps coming up with an excuse as to why they don't have it, or, oh yeah, I'll get to you, I'm getting the lawyers first and this and that and da da da, and you're on a time crunch and need those transcripts, and they still refuse to print them off and give them to you. Is there an option with that?
Yeah, well, if you're in California, your attorney can approach the judge and have the judge make a court order that the that the court reporter, spend the weekend doing your case and your case only, and give it to you on Monday morning. Okay. I've actually seen that happen.
Okay.
Well, there's supposed to be a certain time period, or no, Mr. D, for that filing of discovering those things?
No, there is a certain time period for the court reporter to give you the document, give you the transcripts, and like Kirsten just said, a lot of times, for whatever reason, the court reporters get backed up, they get overloaded. Everybody wants a transcript at the same time, but you and your attorney have to, what was that saying? The squeaky wheel gets the oil.
Yeah, early bird gets the worm.
Right.
Okay.
Next question, Kirsten.
All right, let me think. Now, if there's an appeal done and have not heard back, obviously inquire about it, but then the transcript issue, what else are the options if you've had a termination of parental rights? Because I think in Georgia, actually, this might be a loaded question. I believe in Georgia, it's stated, don't quote me on it, that I'm not sure if it's a year or 2 years and the child has not been adopted, then you can go back and petition the court to have a review and show that your circumstances and so on and so forth have changed. Is that the only option to a TPR?
No, theoretically, no, but that probably is the most viable option. There was a case here in California that I personally knew about where a woman was TPR'd, and 5 years later, she got her kid back and her rights reinstated.
Wow.
And the child had been adopted.
Wow.
Yeah. So, when you say, is that your only option? The answer is no. But, these options are like, 1 in 100, 1 in 500, 1 in 1,000. They're not strong, high probability chance of success, legal strategies. Right. But, I don't know enough about your case. But if there was fraud and collusion in your case, if you were in California, you can make a motion, you can bring a lawsuit to try to overturn the adoption because of wrongdoing.
Yes, that's what I'm actually currently trying to do right now, is a civil lawsuit. That my case is a little bit complicated, but I've been told by several people with consultation and stuff that there are several grounds actually for that.
Please tell me you're not trying to do the lawsuit by yourself.
Heck no.
Okay,
No.
Very good.
No, definitely not. I want to win.
Mr. Guai, any comments this evening?
No, it's funny that she just said that, because I actually have the reinstatement of parental rights paperwork right here. This is the main version, and it's youth in care for over 12 months after TPR shall have as a part of their permanency review exploration of suitability of return to birth parents if there's no viable permanency plan in place.
Wow.
Huh.
That's amazing.
Yeah. That's where I'm at. So it's kind of weird you brought that up.
How did you find that? Or
now this is Maine's, but if you just look up but I know that there's a couple of states that do this, and it's section 7.f reinstatement of parental rights. I can put the link up here for you, and then maybe you can look and see if Georgia has the same thing. I'll put the website. I'll put where it came from offline for you up here.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Of course, it's like the longest link I've ever seen in my life. Or actually, you know what? I can put it in the regular comments, right, Mr. D? Are you cool with that?
Yes, of course.
All right. Yeah, I mean, like Mr. D says, there's always hope, so don't give up. But you just gotta, it's really crazy once you get your head out of the way that you thought that the American flag's gonna wave and the judge is gonna fly off the bench with her gavel and mash the CPS in the head, and you're gonna grab your kid, run down the aisle, and gold and silver is gonna come flying at you, and you realize that's not how it works at all.
Yeah,
you're gonna kick yourself because you go, man, why didn't I just pay attention? Because it's not. It's a whole different. It's a twist. But Mr. D, is it different for the criminal stuff? Like in the criminal side, is it the same way for this law stuff?
Pretty much, but you have a lot more rights in the criminal case.
Got you. That's what I hear you say all the time.
And that's interesting because yet you stand a chance to face criminal charges when they say that you've been neglectful or abusive, and you know what I mean, and so on and so forth. And these are children, these are lives, so you would wonder and kind of wonder why there's not as many rights on this avenue as well.
You still using that common sense, huh, Kristen?
Yeah. It doesn't exist.
Just think of that hamster. Think of that hamster.
Yeah. Stop at the pet store on the way home. Miss D will get her one of those little wooden carrots in there.
All right, next question, Kirsten.
Yes, does a guardian ad litem have to be a lawyer?
Well, you know what? Here's the interesting thing. In California, guardian ad litem is defined differently from, I think, your state. And a guardian ad litem in California, under the definition, does not have to be a lawyer. So I don't know how your state defines it. I found out over time that each state defines the guardian ad litem a little differently. Some states say that the guardian ad litem is the child's attorney. And in that case, they would have to be, an attorney.
Right.
But if in California, if you were the typical GAL, you don't have to be an attorney. Now, you can be an attorney. That doesn't prevent you, but you don't have to be.
And then I have one more question. I think this is a pretty good one. I don't know if this has ever happened before. So let me see if I can find a way to word this so it can be followed. Okay. So the former head of DFACS CPS in this county retired early and became the paralegal for the prosecutor for DFACS, which normally would I would say, okay, cool, but the issue is that it's not just new cases. Say a case came up and it was after she left being the head of DFACS. These are prior cases that she knew intimate knowledge about as the head of DFACS, and now is the paralegal for the prosecutor trying the same cases that she originally was the head of DFACS with. Did that make sense?
Yeah. And what's your question?
Okay. Is there anything that is possibly questionable about that?
No.
Being that she has. So a normal paralegal for a prosecutor wouldn't have the intimate knowledge that this person has, being the former head of DFACS. You see my point there?
I see it crystal clear, and my answer is still
But the
no.
common sense is not there. Okay.
Right.
Got it. Now I'm following. Okay. So, all right. That's crazy. Because that would, how would that work on a criminal side?
Be the same question, same answer.
Same answer. All right.
Sorry to disappoint.
Do you hear that a lot?
No, I live in a county with 10 to 12 million people. So that's, that doesn't happen.
Not this yeah, welcome to the southern part of Georgia.
You didn't even tell me a city because you think I probably never heard of it.
Okay, have you heard of St. Mary's, Georgia? Woodbine, Georgia? Okay, now have you heard of Camden County, Georgia? You know the show Cops? Yeah,
But,
unfortunately, we are on that a lot.
oh, that's funny.
But that's where I'm at.
Okay, I'm in Los Angeles. You heard of that?
Oh, yes.
Hey, I'm in South Berwick. Have you heard of that?
Nope.
Things are done differently, across the country. I'm doing a trial right now. I'm in the middle of a trial in a county in Oklahoma. And things are a little different, but, yet the same, Anyway.
How was it when you went to Oklahoma?
Oklahoma.
Was everything when you just were on the road in Oklahoma, right? How is it? Is it completely different? Is it Wild West out there for you, or is it
No,
similar
not
to
at
LA?
all. Not at all. Not at all.
Huh.
After you have 37 years of experience, things, a duck's a duck. It quacks and walks like a duck. Whether you're in LA or San Francisco or, Oklahoma.
You still coming up this way this month?
Have yet to be determined. Yet to be determined. We're in the middle of trying to finalize that. And for some reason, there's been a stall. But we'll see.
Yes, sir.
Christian, anything else? Because I'm going to move on to
I think that's it. Thank you so much for answering them.
Thank you very much. I admire your thought process and processes in this matter. But you really are going down the wrong road. And I hate to tell you that, but I'm just being honest.
Yeah, it apparently so, because nothing is common sense down here or logic.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Christian. And
I appreciate it, though.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.
We'll be in touch, Kristen. Oh, what a nice girl. Too bad that she wasted so much time.
Yeah. Hey, I got that new telephone set up where people can call in.
Yeah. How do we do it?
They dial the number and it will come to my phone here, and I can put them on speaker and everybody will hear what they're saying. Anybody got a question, want to call in? If you saw what the telephone number Grace posted earlier, 800-871-7282.
That's a nice number too. That's a nice number.
Look at that, what Grace did already.
Look at her go. That Grace, really something.
Okay, I'm getting a call here. Hold on, let me see. Let me mute myself.
So here we go. We're gonna get the first one out.
I got a call. You're our first caller, sir. How are you?
I'm pretty good considering. I mean, it's been a hectic flood. I'll tell you what, man. I'm over here in Georgia. So
okay, hold on a second. Hold on a second. What's your first name?
Daniel.
Daniel, is there any way you can turn up the volume? Because I can barely hear you. Darren, can you hear him?
I can hear him a little bit. I'm all right. I'm okay.
Not really, but go ahead. What's your question, Daniel?
All right. I have a couple questions, but basically, I want to know if you could resend a consent to a petition.
If you can consent to a petition, you mean a petition filed against you? Yeah, you can consent to it.
Yeah, so we could.
I wouldn't advise that, but
resend?
Well, we consented to the petition, and I want to know if you can go back on that consent and resend it.
The answer is yes. Well, I don't know what state you're in, but in California, you could. You have to make a motion, though. And the judge would have to grant your request. I'm of the opinion that the law kind of leans towards you being able to rescind it, but not guaranteed. What state are you in?
Gotcha. Georgia.
Oh, another person from Georgia. You know Kristen?
Forget that.
But Danielle, she's from South Georgia, if that means anything to you.
Yeah, no, she's in Florida just about. That's country Bumpkinsville down there.
We're getting the geography in Georgia today.
So where are you in Atlanta?
Yeah, I'm in Atlanta, so.
You're in Atlanta. Oh, you're in big city.
Oh, city slicker.
Yeah, it's hell over here, man. They took my daughter from me for missing a court date, and I didn't even miss the court date. We attended Zoom. My attorney said attended the dispositionary hearing by Zoom, and we got on, and the judge started just killing me right off rip, and she was like, "Where are you at?" I said, "I'm in Douglasville," and she goes, "Get to court right now." And I didn't have transportation to get there, and she literally put her order in to remove my daughter because we couldn't make it to court when ordered.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Do you have a good attorney?
Yeah. No, I don't. I hired one and took my money, basically.
Well, try to find a good try to find a good attorney. This is probably going to be the most important case in your life.
No, let me ask you this. I went to the adjudication hearing, and we consented to services. We had I had a state appointed attorney, and he described it as basically we're consenting to family counseling and a psychological assessment. When I attended the adjudication hearing via Zoom, the communication was cut off halfway through the hearing, and I never actually got to, plead to anything or whatever you would call it, consent to anything. So by the time I got back into the hearing, the case has already been recalled, and I don't know what happened at all, like at all. So, is that grounds for maybe an appeal, or what recourse do I have?
Sounds like you have grounds for an appeal, but I would definitely talk to my attorney about it. Okay.
Okay, and then the thing is that was kind of a while ago. It was maybe just over 2 months ago, and I hired an attorney basically 30 days after this happened, and I was asking about appeals. No return calls, nothing, and it's like I just hope there's a limitation. Do you know if there's any limitation to file an appeal in Georgia?
Well, I can imagine that there are always limitations to filing an appeal. I can't tell you what the limitations are. I was just mentioning earlier on the show, in California, it's 60 days, but in Nevada, it's 30
days. Yeah,
it's 30 days. Right. So
yeah, and I couldn't find it anywhere, and no one gave me a straight answer. So it's like, there's many things that we can do, but it's like I hired this attorney that isn't working for me. So it's like I don't even know where to even begin from here. So it's just it's really difficult. I've got it's a really just messed up case. I had it was a mental health issue that was with my girlfriend, and that's why defects started coming out to my house in the first place. And because I didn't send a safety plan, they have turned against me completely, lie after lie on the petition, and all kinds of things. I was shocked when they served the petition to me, and my name was on it. I'm like, what do you mean my name's on it? There's no anything. They accuse me of domestic violence when there's no arrest, no calls, no nothing but domestic violence. And it's just been a complete mess the whole time. I don't understand how the system could do this stuff to somebody, to people, when they seek help for mental health condition. So it's like, these people just are evil people. Like, you have no idea. Well, actually, you do know. But it's just sad that this is happening to a country like this, and people just get their kids removed for no reason.
Danielle, it sounds like you should be joining our cause to change things via vote at the state, county, states, and federal level. You interested in doing that?
Yeah, no, I am. That's the thing. Something needs to give, man, because this is just messed up what they're doing to people. And this is not like we're some, derelicts or anything like that. I mean, we're, middle class. We've got careers. And, I mean, my girlfriend, she's one of them. She's an MSW. She's a master social worker. They took her kid. So they're going after their own kind now.
They got no boundaries.
Really,
always happens.
It's like they're unchecked power.
Right.
Like it's like a trophy to them to go after people that they think are untouchable almost. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they start coming after attorneys just to get a kick out of it, because no one's ever seen these people.
Right.
No, it's really just sick, man. I got one more question for you. I've got okay, so I asked if you can resend the petition or whatever, but I've got a I caught the caseworker lying on my psychological assessment. Basically, I don't even know if this is possible, but the caseworker got in contact with the person doing my psychological assessment. She told them that when they came to remove Ember, that I was locked in my bedroom with Ember, that the cops were threatening to kick in the door and had guns drawn and all this crazy stuff that never happened. Okay, the assessor said that I'm diagnosed with child neglect. I don't even know that was a thing until the other day, and because of those actions, that my daughter's not safe in the house with me right now, and I need to do all these classes, all this crap that because of this incident that never happened. So I went to the police department and I got the police report from the officers over there, and what actually happened was I invited them inside after they're banging on the door for a while, and finally just I gave up, and I just I can't run from this, so just face the music. I invited them inside, reluctantly gave my daughter away, but it's the only way you have to do it unless you want to go to jail too. You can do much of a fight for her if you're locked up, but it was without incident as far as that goes. I mean, I cursed out the caseworker because she's a lying piece of what.
No.
But, that was about the extent of it. So I got the police report from the police department, and the police report said that I invited them in the home, I handed over no incident, completely contradicting what the caseworker told the assessor. Now, my question is that something that do I have recourse on that where I can, get her punished, sue her or something? I mean, she's obviously maliciously coming after us.
The answer is yes. You need to talk to a civil rights attorney there in the state of Georgia.
Okay. Should I wait till after my case is over with?
I don't think so. I think you need to go talk to a civil rights attorney right away. Hey, Daniel, thank you for calling in. You're our first call-in guest.
Good job, Daniel.
I appreciate it. Bye-bye.
No, thank you. Thanks for taking my call. Bye-bye.
That's good stuff, Mr. D. Good job.
How did it sound?
It sounded great. I mean, you sounded this. You said you asked about his sound, but it was really good over here. It sounded really nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
you sounded like I thought it was on some late night AM talk show, man. That was awesome.
Okay. Hey, so we are at the end of the show tonight. Maybe tomorrow, Grace, we should just do a show. I don't know if I can do it tomorrow or the next day. We should just do a show with call-in guests.
Yeah.
See what happens. All right. Hey, Darren, thank you for joining us tonight as my co-host, and I'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Good night,
and then
everyone.
Don't forget 7 p.m. Eastern Time will be Men in Trenches.
Men in Trenches, 7 p.m. Eastern Time.
Yeah.
Man Entrance with Darren and Mike Bartz. Hey,
Yes, sir.
Grace, can I have some exit music, please?
Yeah. Mr. D.
What happened to the music, Grace?
Really? I was just going to make a cool thing. Grace ruined it. Grace. All right. All right. And Mr. D.
All right.
You're beating CPS. Talk to you tomorrow.
Good night.